On this week's show, with Brexit looming, is this the right time to invest in property?
Can you become financially free in a fortnight? We'll hear from Samuel Leeds, who's taken on that challenge.
We meet the doctor who's investing his life savings into property.
And in this week's news, how does Philip Hammond's autumn budget affect property investors?
Welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're here every single Friday at 4 PM. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. Enjoy this week's show and don't forget to share it with all your friends. My name is Russell Leeds. I'm CEO of the training company Property Investors with Samuel Leeds. I also run a letting agency and I've been a property investor for quite a few years now.
And my name's Alasdair Cunningham. I am the director of Better Source Limited. I'm a landlord and a property investor.
Awesome. So before we get digging into Brexit, which I know you're very excited about.
Yay.
Tell us a bit about what you've been up to this week.
Okay, so this week is been a pretty interesting week. We've taken on, as you know, Max. Max has started working for Better Source as an operations manager and surveyor.
Fantastic.
Which is cool. It's growing the business. So yeah, that's been pretty cool. And
how's he getting on?
Yeah, do you know what he started yesterday? He's already he's already done a furniture sale. He's already done a sale for a 4-bed multi-let in Coventry.
Nice.
Full of furniture, so that's cool.
Awesome.
He's sort of landed with a bang, shall we say?
Yeah, brilliant. I'm similarly to you, although I haven't taken on anyone yet, but we've been doing interviews this week. Got a new
cool.
girl.
What's that for?
We're actually looking for 4 people at the moment.
Four. Is that because you're getting rid of Nick?
Shh, he's right. No, so yeah. Well, we're looking for it's mainly marketing and stuff, but also customer service. Just because we're growing, it's just to everyone at the point at the moment in our office is getting a bit to the point where they're a bit like, oh, this is
stressed out.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's been a pretty good week. So Brexit.
Interesting stuff, isn't it?
Now, this has been going on a long time now. I mean, we've been talking about Brexit now for, I don't know, it feels like forever. What are your thoughts on Brexit?
To be honest, I actually don't really give a rat's, to be honest, about Brexit. It is naive or whatever as you may think, but I actually couldn't care less about Brexit.
So you heard it here first. That's the end of this week's show. Hope you enjoyed it. There's no point caring about Brexit. No, seriously, you don't care at all?
I'm not that interested or fussed because I think no matter what happens, Brexit's going to come and go and life goes on.
Okay.
Now, there may be other things that need addressing, that need looking at, but initially, my feelings on Brexit are, do you know what? What will be, and it will work out in the end.
Wow.
What do you think?
Well,
this is going to be the far more educated
before I share what I think, Samuel Leeds, best-selling author on Amazon and obviously one of the most famous trainers here in the UK, did a video talking about Brexit.
Oh, did he? I should watch that.
You probably should. Well, let's have a look at that now and then we'll discuss it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, Brexit. What's going to happen? Well, the truth is, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. No one does. Even the people in high places, I don't think know exactly what's going to happen. But the question is, what's going to happen in the property market? And I'll give you my opinion on that. So it's possible that if we, depending on the deal, what happens, that properties will dip. That's quite possible. However, we live on a small island in England, in the UK. We're on a small island. And there's a massive, massive shortage of houses. There's an overpopulation of people. So long term, I cannot possibly see how prices, there's gonna be a big crash and properties are gonna be worth peanuts. It's just never, ever, ever gonna happen. So there could be a little dip. Interestingly, since Brexit was announced, a year and a half, 2 years ago, since it was announced, in my hometown, property prices have gone up by over 30%. So property prices they're not as stagnant as you might think. They're not as dicey as you might think. Now in London, there's been a dip, but that's got nothing to do with Brexit. The reason there's a dip in London is because there's previously was a massive expansion. And where there's an expansion, will always follow a dip, a recession. That's always gonna happen. So with Brexit, a lot of uncertainty. No one knows for sure exactly what's gonna happen. Prices may go down next year, only to go up again. But I see right now as a massive, massive opportunity. And here's why. Because there's a lot of landlords who only see the news. They get all their information not from my YouTube channel, not from people that are actually making lots of money. No, they just watch the news, the media, and they see these crazy news articles about Brexit and what's gonna happen, and then these landlords get scared. And because they're scared, because they think that prices are suddenly gonna drop like crazy, which I don't think they will, they might dip. What they're doing is they're selling their portfolios up at pretty good prices because they wanna sell quick, because they're motivated, because they wanna do it before the whole Brexit crazy thing happens. So actually that's quite a good opportunity for you and for me, because I've personally been buying people's whole portfolios recently, and so have many of my students. Not only have I been buying, and my students have been buying portfolios, but we've also been taking on property portfolios on a lease option agreement. So there's massive, massive opportunity right now. Even if property prices do go down, as long as you're getting your return on investment, unless you're buying to sell, it doesn't matter anyway. So my thoughts on Brexit is don't wait, because what most people wait. Most people are like, ooh, I'll see what happens, and then they wait, and then they wait. And in that waiting time where people are scared, that's when you should be being greedy. And then when the waiting finishes and people are like, actually, okay, our properties are going back up again now, then suddenly that's a bad time. That's a bad time, because that's when people are getting gazumped all the while. If the whole world was saying, now's a great time to invest, it probably is not a great time to invest. If everyone's saying, ooh, I'm not sure, that's probably when it's a good time to get in. So if you've been waiting to see what happens, stop right now, get educated, start buying the right properties that give you the right returns, that mean that you're gonna make an income. You're not planning on selling it anyway. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. That's my positioning on Brexit, but we'll see what happens. I'm very interested to see what happens.
Okay, so interesting how Samuel's actually researched it and got a bit of an understanding about it to form an opinion. Don't you think?
I think so, yeah. It's actually a very interesting video, so it's opened my eyes up a little bit.
Well, of course it has. Your eyes were like this before.
No, come on. Yeah. It's not, listen, I said I don't care about Brexit, and
yeah.
I don't, what I mean by that is, it's not going to stop me doing what I'm doing. Too many people hear things like this in the news, they hear it in the newspaper, the Sun, and they think it's the world's end. The reality is...
The Sun kind of is the world's end.
Well... It feels like you're at the world's end if you're reading that. But anyway, the reality is, when Brexit comes, we're still going to be buying houses. When Brexit comes, we're still going to be renting out rooms. We're still going to be doing this. We're going to...
See,
do you know what I mean?
No, I don't agree with you. Well, I do agree with you, but I think that you should be aware of the situation, the climate, and what's going on, because otherwise you might invest in the wrong things. You might do something stupid.
Yeah, but then that's not... What's that got to do with Brexit?
Okay,
if stupid people still do stupid things... It doesn't matter, Brexit doesn't affect that, does it?
I wouldn't say you're a stupid person.
I don't mean me, but what I mean is, look, it doesn't matter what time of the year it is, doesn't matter when it is, doesn't matter what time of the economy it is, right? If you're going to invest in property, you should be doing your homework anyway. You should be doing your due diligence, you should be doing all the correct things.
Alright, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
To prove you wrong.
Okay, please. Yeah.
Okay, so for example, do you accept, Samuel just said on the video, that a strategy that probably wouldn't be more wise right now would be to buy to sell on. Would you accept that?
Yes.
Okay, so if you were totally unaware and that was your strategy, and you were just like, Brexit, who cares, and you carried on doing that, do you agree that you could get stung?
A little bit, perhaps.
Perhaps.
But this all comes back to education.
Especially though, yeah, but your point was that you don't care and that you wouldn't educate yourself.
Right. I didn't say, when did I say I wouldn't educate myself?
Well, you never use those words, right?
Exactly.
That's basically what you were saying.
No. What I mean is, I don't care about it because it's not going to affect how I do things. I'm fluid.
Yeah, but it might affect how you do things.
Become fluid. So if your strategy is to buy, refurb and sell, don't buy, refurb and hold. Or buy better at a lower price. The prices, they might fluctuate.
Okay, what if you did this then? What about if you bought, refurbed, went to get it valued,
and the value was lower?
And you're screwed then.
Well, yeah, okay, so that particular strategy might struggle a little bit if there's not enough cushion in it. If there's enough cushion in the property...
But the thing is that some people will be doing that where they need to pull out that money.
Yes.
And then there's people like you that are saying, "Oh, I don't care about Brexit,"
No,
right?
You're taking what I'm saying wrong.
Who they'll be listening to, right? And they might make a big pig's ear and be financially ruined.
Listen, with any property investment, doesn't matter if it's a HMO or if you should have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D.
Yeah.
So if plan A doesn't work because something changes, it's the ones that are poorly educated. Well, that's it. They're scuppered and they're ruined. That's the people that are going to be financially crippled, have lost loads of money because they've not thought past their nose. They've not seen past their nose. They've not seen the woods for the trees. Okay, so if your plan is to buy, refurbish, and then refinance, and you're doing that just in the phase that Brexit's coming, perhaps that's not the best strategy for that time.
Yeah.
Perhaps what they should be doing, what I would do is, yes, buy a property that's below market value and refurbish it, but perhaps buy it and hold it for some time until the property prices come back up.
Yeah.
To
be honest,
it's a no-brainer.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I don't think you should ever do a deal where you're relying on the valuer.
No.
And if the valuer doesn't, you always need a plan A. I think that's probably the biggest lesson from this. Actually, is to make sure that you've got a backup plan for whatever
100%.
you do, and also make sure that you're right now you're not relying on selling the property.
Do you know, I've learned very much so in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, I don't rely on anyone for anything. Honestly, I do not rely on anybody else, a third party, to influence my business decision or my decisions on anything I make. Many people say you create your own economy, and I believe you could create your own economy. So when I say about Brexit, I don't really care about Brexit. I don't actually really care about Brexit, because no matter what happens, the people that are well educated in property and the people that are doing well on property will still be making money from property.
Yeah.
Do you think Samuel's going to stop making money from property because of Brexit? No. And anyone that does, I'm sorry, they need to reflect.
Nicely put.
That was nicely put.
That was
wasn't
nicely
it?
put. So what would you say then? Would you say the biggest?
Hang about. What do you think about Brexit then?
I just want to grill you. To be honest.
No. Let's switch this around.
What
What
do
do
I
you think?
I think.
Are you still going to be buying houses during Brexit period?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course I am. Of course I am.
So what sort of strategy are you going to look for?
I'm not going to change much.
So what sort of strategy are you looking at now?
Cash flow.
Cash flow.
Cash flow.
Okay.
One thing that might get a bit hit, for example, that I'm aware of, but I never do a deal where I'm relying on having to sell it.
Yeah, to get your money in. Yeah.
No, because I think if you're having to rely on it, for example, I bought a property off a saucer a few years ago, and the package was put together that I'd be able to refinance it in 6 months' time. It's 8 years on, and I still haven't refinanced it.
Is that why is that? Because you chose not to, or because
It just didn't stack up.
it didn't stack up? And so you bought that from, obviously you bought that some time ago.
Yeah.
And you bought that from a sourcing company.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously not Better Source.
No, Better Source went around back then.
Okay.
Numbers
would have stacked.
Better Source would have stacked, yeah. I mean, the deal was okay, but I actually relied on pulling my money back out of the deal.
Yeah.
And then
It never
didn't happen.
worked.
It didn't work. And I learnt a lesson there. 2 lessons. First lesson is never take someone else's word for it. Make sure that you've done your own research. And second lesson is never rely on a valuation.
The thing is, do you know, these valuation officers or the surveyors that go out and value properties, I actually don't understand fully where they get. It seems that it seems crazy, because it seems that they can wake up one morning in a good mood and go out and value it at X, and then the next day, no, it's 5k less.
Yeah.
It seems there's no sort of. There should be like
I've been stung a few times, which is why, yes, plan on having it valued.
Yeah.
That's do you know we best case, worst case, likely case.
Yeah.
That's your best case. Your likely case is it's probably going to get, in my experience, damn valued less than what you would think it's going to be.
Yes, yeah.
And then worst case, sometimes it's ridiculous. I was speaking to a property investor the other day, and he's got valued at nothing. They actually valued it at nothing, and he bought
Where's
it
that?
and spent. I can't remember where it was, but he spent like 30 grand on it doing it up, and they valued it at nothing because it was a HMO. And they don't like HMOs.
Oh, okay, right. So, okay, obviously there's still some value to it, but
Well, apparently not. Apparently
the
not.
guy's obviously got a right for HMO, so he said, no, screw that. It's worth nothing.
So I would say with Brexit, just be aware that the property prices might dip. But I would also say long term, of course they're going to go back up again. Of course they are.
Of course, so. But why is that, though? Because we live in an island. we have such a...
We've got a demand for houses that's
demand
going
with
up.
a lack of supply.
And I can't see that ever changing.
No, neither can I. Because everyone wants to go... Like, loads of people want to come to the UK.
I can't see that ever changing. So I would say, don't worry about it. As in, don't think, oh no, I need to get rid of my portfolio, I need to get out of property. No. Stupid.
One thing that's good, there is the benefit to the educated sort of investor and people that like... like the educated ones, we met a few last month, like not us,
me,
not us, but the other ones.
Oh, right.
Anyway, them sort of people is we can buy portfolios dirt cheap now because landlords are scared.
Well, Samuel mentioned that as well.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
You've done a few, haven't you?
Yes, I've sold a portfolio of 4 properties just a few weeks back. They were all done on a lease auction because the landlord is a little bit worried about what's going to happen with Brexit, and he wants security of his deal. He wants to know that
He hasn't
done
got security
before.
there, has he?
Well,
Because let's say they did massively drop. The person that bought the lease auction would just go.
Well, what he's looking at is he wants security for the next 4 or 5 years that he's going to be getting the rents paid and the mortgages paid because he's worried that, like for instance, with Brexit looming, all the sort of Eastern Europeans and that are going to go home. Now I know some people that have HMOs, for instance. There's a lot of Eastern Europeans live in HMOs because they come over, they do their job, and they're looking for somewhere affordable to live. So I know there's a few HMO managers are concerned about that. But it's like 1 in 10. You speak to 1 in 10.
Even if they do, we've still got a housing shortage.
Of course we have.
It's still going to be a good time. It's still going to be good to buy. It's still going to be good to buy now, especially as, like people, like you say, landlords are selling off. The demand's already dropping just because of the fear of it.
Yeah.
So I think, Brexit. Be aware of it. Educate yourself about it. Don't just be head in the sand about it and think, who cares? I wouldn't be like that. That'd be stupid.
Possibly a little bit, but don't over fret about it. I would say just don't listen. You can worry about stuff forever, but 99 times out of 100, that the worst case will never ever happen.
Yeah,
you've spent a lot of time worrying about it. All that. When I say I don't care about it, I don't actually really give a monkeys about it because whatever happens, I'll work a way around to still make money and still.
I agree with you in many ways.
Yeah.
I'm kind of being a bit harsh, but I do agree with you in terms of I don't really follow the news.
No, I don't watch.
I'm not really interested.
I'm not interested.
So what's coming up in the news this week? We don't know because we didn't follow it.
I honestly don't know. I think I was at home a couple of weeks ago and the BBC News come on and I was like shocked. I didn't even know what. I don't know. I just don't watch the news. I watch very little TV.
I only watch the news when I'm on it.
Oh, okay, so when you bought your castle last year.
Yeah, I watched it then. Yeah, I'll watch it. If I'm in the news, then I'll watch it. But you know what?
That was funny.
I watch it, and I'm waiting for it to come on, and I'm getting depressed.
Yeah, I know.
Because the news is just so depressing.
To be honest, even when I'm driving in the car and the news comes on, I flick stations. I just do not listen to the news. I don't buy papers.
No.
I just do not.
Talking of the news, coming up in our news, and I believe a few newspapers and stuff are interested in it as well, so I think it will probably make certainly regional news. Samuel is doing his Financial Freedom Challenge.
He's. I think he's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
He's going to start again from zero.
Yeah.
And he's going to give himself 2 weeks to become financially free.
It is pretty cool. Well, I'll tell you what, I actually interviewed Samuel earlier this week.
Cool.
Talking all about it. So if you don't know about this, have a quick listen to this. You'll find out what he's doing, why he's doing it, and then we can tell you what we think.
Yeah.
So tell us first of all, what is the Financial Freedom Challenge?
Well, I have done a video in the past saying what it is, but it's basically where I am going to start from scratch, and the challenge is to become financially free all over again. Starting with nothing, with an alias name.
Yeah. Can we find out what the name is, or is that a secret at the moment?
Nope, I'm not going to say what my name is. Certainly not yet.
Okay.
At some point, it will be revealed. I do know what the name is, but I don't know where I'm going to be yet. And I'm not allowed to do business with anyone that I've previously met before.
So you're starting out from scratch.
Yeah.
New area, new name, no contacts.
Yeah.
Okay, so I suppose it begs the obvious question is why are you putting yourself through this?
Well, I guess there's the questions of why I'm doing it, how long I think it's going to take me, what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. I mean, why I'm doing it is for a few reasons. The main reason is because I want to really bust the myths and break any excuses that it is not possible.
Okay.
So, it's easy for people to say to me, oh, well, now you've got money and you've got your reputation and you've got this and you've got that. It's easy for you now, but for me, they say, it's tough. I'm living in this area, or I haven't got any money, or I've got bad credit or whatever. So I basically, the rules of the challenge, which is on another video, which is in the description, but the rules to the challenge is giving me all the worst possible starting points.
Yeah. Do you not feel in a way that you've already done this challenge from a very bad starting point, i.e. 17-year-old kid?
Yeah.
You know your story at the crash course.
10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So do you not feel like you've already achieved it? I mean, why are you putting yourself... Because obviously it was hard, right?
Yeah.
Why are you putting yourself through it again when it's something that you've already done before?
Again, a few reasons. I did it before, but that was then, this is now. And that was 10 years ago when I first started.
Okay.
So things change, and again, people say, "Oh, well, it was easier in those days. You could buy and refinance the same day, or whatever." Even though I don't think it was easier in those days, I think it's easier in these days. It's my opinion. So I think also last time it took me like 4 years.
Yeah.
It took me a long time.
So this could be a very long documentary.
Well, I'm going to document it, but it definitely won't take me 4 years.
Let's hope not.
It won't even take me. You know what? I'll do this. It will be weeks. I'm pretty confident.
So how are you going to document it exactly?
Okay, so I'm gonna have obviously my phone with me. So I'll probably, as I go along, I'll be keeping people up to posted to some degree.
Yeah.
I'll be maybe taking pictures. I'll be doing some video of myself, but I'm gonna have a freelance videographer who's gonna be a fly on the wall, and he's gonna put together an official documentary from a third-party fly-on-the-wall perspective of exactly what happened throughout the whole time.
Okay, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So what's the date of the challenge?
So I'm starting the challenge. I'm starting with nothing all over again. I don't know where I'm going to be yet. That's going to be on the 15th of November.
Okay, 15th of November. And when are we going to be able to watch this documentary and find out what happened?
So I'm going to be vlogging and sharing a little bit on YouTube. But mostly it's going to be on the Facebook group,
okay,
which is Property Investors with Samuel Leeds.
So I recommend going on there, keeping an eye on what he's doing, yeah.
Has to be part of the group, it's a free group, and I'm going to be probably just putting pictures and stories and stuff as I go. I'm hoping, really hoping that I'll be able to complete the challenge within 6 weeks.
6 weeks, so 15th of November.
Up until like Christmas Day.
Okay.
And because I don't want to be out on my own in a foreign place on Christmas Day. I just want to inspire people, and I just want to go through it, and I want to prove to myself and to others that it's possible.
Yeah.
And I've not seen anything done like this before.
If you do fail, will you do it again?
Probably, yeah. I'll fail, and then I'll do it again. Yeah. I'm good with failure. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think it's going to be a really exciting challenge. I'm really looking forward to watching it, and I'm really looking forward to you not being around for a few weeks.
Well, we'll see.
Okay, so that's what he's going to be doing. You think he's mad?
I think he's putting a lot of pressure on himself. It would be phenomenal if he does it, but I think it's real, isn't it? Because how many people come to the crash course and their aim is to become financially free? And I mean, I know you guys hear lots of excuses and lots of people saying you can't do it, and you hear lots of people that have come to the crash course but they're doing it. People are doing it, aren't they? I know personally people that have become financially free just by coming to the crash course.
Yeah.
Not in 2 weeks, mind. But if anyone can do it, I think Samuel can.
His best case is 4 weeks.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, so he's not limiting himself to 2 weeks then?
Yeah.
Right, okay, okay. But, okay, I mean, 2 weeks is 2 to 4 weeks. Even then, it's still awesome. Even
he's just going to... He's basically what he's going to do is he's just going to... It sounds like you weren't listening to the clip we just played.
No, I was.
But all he's going to do is he's going to keep going until he achieves it.
Yeah. So, but he runs out of money after 2 weeks, doesn't he, or something like that?
No, he runs out of money after a week.
Oh, okay.
Right, but he's got to earn something during the first week before he's asleep in his car.
Yeah.
And he's got no petrol or anything.
Okay.
So he's got some little bit of spending money.
Yeah.
And he's got a hotel booked for a week, and then after that, Boom, he's got to start earning money. And
The thing is, even if he fails at it, it's a very, very good lesson, do you not think? Because I personally think it's better to aim high and miss than aim low and hit. Right?
I think it's going to be a good lesson.
Of course it is.
I don't think... what I think would be very interesting? He wouldn't really open up in the interview, but I think it'd be really interesting about what he does.
Yeah, what strategies?
So, bear in mind...
What do you think he's going to do? I reckon we should write this down.
What, as a prediction?
Just as a prediction. So, it's the podcast predictions.
Okay.
And then we can discuss this next time.
Well, not next time, but in a few months time.
After we've done it. What do you think he's going to do? What would you do? If you were going to become financially free again, what would you do?
Alright. Should I write it down?
Yeah, you crack.
Are we going to say this or just write it down? Should we say it?
Yeah, go on.
He probably won't listen to this.
Yeah, he won't take our advice.
He
anyway.
pretends he listens to it, but I'm sure he doesn't. I'm sure he just listens to the start and goes, yeah, look. Yeah, well, I'm sure he does.
It's interesting.
Right, so I think I'll put my name, Russell.
Yeah.
Just in case you try and take credit.
Okay.
We can tell it's mine because it's the neat handwriting, but...
Yeah, that's fine.
You might take credit for it.
And it's the one with spelling mistakes.
Yeah. You put podcast as 2 words, I wouldn't even go there. Right, so I think... Okay, how long do you think he'll do it, first of all? I'm going to say yes.
I think he'll do it.
I think he'll do it. I think it will take him 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? And I think he's going to do... a rent to SA.
Okay, so is he's starting with no money at all, isn't he?
No, yeah, no money.
So rent to SA is going to be difficult, because what if they want a deposit?
See, I think he's going to do sourcing.
Yeah. Probably
sourcing to get some money in.
To get some cash in for the...
Because also, he set up a compliant company.
Right, yeah.
What do you need to be compliant for with sourcing? Yeah? So he'll do sourcing, I think he'll do a rent to SA.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't shock me if he got himself a nice little lease option agreement.
Okay, so there's nothing left for me to talk about because you've taken them all?
His target is to hit 3k.
Yeah.
But it's 1.5k passive.
Yeah.
And 1.5k active.
Yeah.
So if he gets all those 3, he'll have completed it.
Yeah. I think he's going to do the same.
So hold on, you're just going to write the exact same as what I...
No,
Why don't you just put your name next to mine and just try and get full credit?
So I think what he's going to do is the first thing he's going to do
sourcing.
Is sourcing.
Yeah, same as what I just said a minute ago. Carry on.
No. You said rent to SA. Look.
Yeah, I said it, but I then clarified that the sourcing would be the first thing.
Well, why didn't you write that first? You put rent to SA first.
I was thinking that.
And then I said to you, how's he going to get a rent to SA if he can't afford a deposit?
Should just put it as our joint prediction. The Russell and Alasdair prediction.
So I think he's going to source and then try and sell a deal.
It's about source wrong, yeah, to add an A afterwards.
Yeah. He's going to source, find, I don't know, a BMV or a multi-let to sell, use the money he makes from that to get a rent to rent SA, and while he's out viewing properties,
he'll try and get a lease option. So you think pretty much the exact same as what I think?
Yeah, but mine's is in the correct order.
Well, yours doesn't, just says source.
1, 2, rent to SA, and 3, potential lease option. Done. That's what I think. But I think we're right. We're both right. You can't number them now. That's different.
I can.
I think that's what he's going to be doing.
And okay, here's the big one then. How long? Do you reckon he'll do it? And in how long?
I think he'll do it.
6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks.
I do think like 2 to 4 weeks is
it's pretty ridiculous.
It's pretty hard, isn't it? It's pretty. Like if you just think about it, like you know what it's like when you book viewings and things like that. So he's going to be starting from day one with no viewings booked, fresh area. He's got to build relationships with the agents.
True. Maybe I'll
build relationships. No, I think he will do it.
You don't guess 4 weeks. I don't want the exact same prediction as you.
I think. Yeah, I think he might hit it in 3 weeks.
3? Stick it down.
I do. I think he might hit it in 3 weeks because you know he's a very charming guy, isn't he? He can build relationships quite quickly. So I think if he gets out there and he just note, Russell said rent. He's changed the numbers. So
I haven't
cheated. Right? So just note. I think because he's going to get out there, he's a very charming guy. He can build relationships incredibly quickly. So I think he's going to, knowing Samuel and knowing how powerful and how good he is, he's going to go into an agent, and that agent's going to he's going to have him wrapped around his little finger quite quickly. And he's going to end up wangling a few deals there. But I tell you what, I take my hat off the guy to start again in front of everybody, to put it out there on YouTube and all of his other platforms, starting with zero money and a fresh company, alias name, to go out and do a financial.
Would you do it?
No.
Would you not?
I'd like the challenge.
Do you know what I was thinking would be quite fun? If like me, you and Sam, do you know, like if me, you and Samuel all had like 20 grand or something, and then we had to go and invest it and see who had the best ROI after
a month.
After a month.
Yeah. I think that would be good.
It's quite a fun challenge, isn't it?
I think that would be good. That would be very good. But doing the whole, like what he's doing, starting with zero, takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there in front of everybody. Because if he's at everybody's sort of mercy, isn't he? Because if he fails, he's going to get people, obviously the negative people, not seeing the positives in it.
Well, I think this would be very useful. I mean, you've got sort of two types of investors. You've got the one type that have no money and then want to get into property and become financially free, which is like this. And then the other end of the scale, you've got people that have got money, but they want to invest that money wisely. And we're actually got a friend of ours. His name's Des. He's a doctor. He's that end of the scale. So he is he's got quite a lot of money. He's in a financially good situation, and he wants to invest that wisely. And we're going to hear from him now.
Samuel Leeds here, and today I'm joined by Dr. Des. Des, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Samuel.
So why don't you, I know you're a doctor, you've got quite a large practice.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Why did you decide to get into property?
So it was back in sort of late 2017, I sort of saw your YouTube videos and then I read your book. And I was finding that in late 2017 I was investing in stocks and shares and sort of what I thought were safe investments, and I wasn't getting my return on investments, so I was investing cash in things that I was taught to believe were safe. And then when I read your book, I realised there was another way of investing my cash. A big motivator for me was my children, because I've got 4 children. So my oldest child is 8, and I've got a baby who's 1. So and ranges in between. And I really want to start off a legacy for my children. So financially, I'm doing quite well through my career. But what I need to leave behind is a portfolio, and that's what I felt would be appropriate to do. And I see property as a really good investment vehicle, but I needed to do that with some training and some support.
I remember when we had our one-on-one, and I remember when you just couldn't stand the idea of having mortgages.
Correct, yes.
Which I get. We're going to have to agree to disagree to some small extent.
That's right, yeah.
But I kind of get that. Yeah. Tell us kind of what happened, because I was saying you want to leverage your money as much as you possibly can.
Correct.
Because you're going to get high return, and you're like, oh, because in your mind you're thinking, I don't want to leave debt to my children, or you didn't want to retire with loads of mortgages, did you? So what are you doing as your strategy now?
Sure. So yeah, the discussion really was about, you were suggesting like interest only, and most landlords have an interest only, and I couldn't get my head around that because I wanted my debts paid, as it were, and because I was leaving it as a legacy, I didn't want to hand over a debt. That was the mentality I had. And then I thought about it, I toyed with the idea of interest only, and then I actually started sitting and chatting with some mortgage brokers, and when I did the return on investment sheets, I looked at the difference between repayment and interest only. There's a few £100 a month difference, and in my strategy I wasn't looking for monthly cash flow as the biggest factor. The extra £100 a month or £150 a month would have made a major difference to my end goal. What would make a difference is having an unencumbered portfolio for my children. And
I get that, because everyone's in property for a different reason, aren't they? Property is a vehicle. So why did you decide? You said you were looking at stocks and shares beforehand.
Yes.
What was it about property that made you think it was a lot better? Because now you've got property now.
Correct. And
you've got tenants, and you've been on the academy now for what, about 4 or 5 months? I don't know.
4 or 5 months. Not a long time at all. Not a long time at all.
So why did you choose property? Because as someone who's got a large, firm, should we call it? You've got money. You can invest. You must have thought long and hard about, and you were definitely a thinker.
Oh yeah,
so you must have
spreadsheet.
What strategies did you look at, and what was it about property that made you decide to go down that route?
So initially, looking back now, after I joined the academy, I started reading books like the Robert Kiyosaki book, the cash flow books, and I actually learned that I was quite a passive investor. I thought by investing and giving to stockbrokers or giving to fund managers that I was being an investor, and technically I was, but I was being a very amateur stroke informal investor.
Yeah.
I thought actually with property, I know exactly where my money is going. I know it's a long-term asset, and once I read your book, I saw that actually the money I could put in and leverage it with a mortgage, and the money I was putting into stocks and shares, there was no leverage in stocks and shares at all. Thinking back, if you put X number of pounds into stocks and shares, you get X number of pounds worth of stocks and shares, and that's it. There's no leverage capacity there.
Yeah. And in fact, it's funny you say you read the book, because the strategy that you've gone on to do, certainly up until now, has been very much around buy low, rent high,
Correct.
HMOs.
Yeah.
You've had a HMO just completed in Middlesbrough.
That's right, yeah, on the 28th of September. So that was a property that I found myself after doing your DFE training.
And it's funny because you're such a passive person.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first spoke, you were like, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to have to do anything. Yeah. I'm a doctor and I want to focus on this. And you really want to be passive. And I pleaded with you, didn't I? I said, look, even if you just have to drive up to the area once, because you don't want people to be able to pull the wool over your eyes.
True.
You don't want sources, because there's a lot of bad property sources out there.
Yeah.
To package up a deal that looks great on paper, but then you buy it and it's terrible. So I said, just go down once. You came on the deal finding extravaganza. I don't think, did you even go to a crash course?
No, I actually joined the academy first, and the very first course I did was the DFE.
So you just fast-tracked right to the very top then, no messing at all, because you value your time so much.
Right.
Not that the crash course is not extremely valuable, but you wanted to go right in on the deep end.
Just go straight for it, yeah.
So what happened in Middlesbrough then when you went to Middlesbrough?
So the first property I went to view, I viewed several properties on Rightmove, and I found one that was marketed as a 6-bed. It was a fully licensed HMO. I think I went there around the Easter time, and when I went there to see the property, I measured up the rooms, and 2 of the rooms didn't stack up, and I was there with the estate agent holding the tape measure and said, you sure this is that been let out as a 6-bed? And he said, yeah, this has been let out as a 6-bed for a good few years. So well, it doesn't stack up now because it's only 4 rooms I can realistically let.
Yeah.
But by that time I'd made some contacts with the council, so I'd made some contacts with Steve Beamerson, and I was ringing him and saying, look, I've got this property, I'm not sure whether it will stack up, do you mind if I come round and measure it? So by then I was already making informal networks. But on that day I got there and I couldn't make an offer on the property because it just didn't stack on the spreadsheet.
So on Rightmove, it looked great. It said it was an up and running 6-bed HMO,
yes,
and everything. But then you went and you were a bit wiser,
yeah,
because of the training.
Correct, and it was all down to the room sizes. And if I didn't know any differently, I would have bought it, and I would have bought it at a very inflated price.
And you not only would you have bought it at a very inflated price with the new licensing rules, you wouldn't have got a license on it.
No.
And you'd have actually been a bit stuffed.
Yes, I would have been screwed. Yeah. Yeah.
So, which is important to get trained,
yeah,
and also to sometimes go yourself, because Rightmove packaged it as a HMO, and it's just estate agents just talk absolute nonsense. Yeah. So what are the minimum squared for a room?
Oh, you're testing me now. It's 7.5 square meters.
I know in feet, 70 squared feet.
70 squared feet. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But you knew on the day at least. Even not necessarily having all the knowledge in your head, but knowing where it is.
Yeah.
Having the team to be able to go and ask and support. So how did you feel that when that didn't work? Did you feel like it was a real wasted trip, or?
I built up some rapport with the agent whilst I was there, because I was bouncing it off him. So, you sure this is a HMO? Does the landlord know that this doesn't stack up as a HMO going forward from October 18?
And when you say stack up, you mean it's not legit, right? It doesn't work.
Yeah,
it's not.
And I was trying to sort of build some rapport with him, because he recommended that property as well. He said it's a really good property, and because of that, he said, well, look, I know you've come a long way. And I said, well, I've come a long way just for this property. Have you got anything else on? And he said, yeah, look, come have a look at my screens. I've got this other property. And that was a 5-bed. It was fully let. It was a fully licensed HMO. And it's the first time telling you now, I actually made an offer there and then. Said, right, I'm going to make an offer on the price. I'm going to go for the asking price. But I want to come back in 2 weeks and I want to meet the owner. I want to go around the property with the owner.
With your tape measure as well.
Exactly, tape measure, everything. And when I was with the owner, I was there for about an hour and a half with him, just viewing this property.
Yeah.
I asked him everything about what the letting history was, how big the rooms are, what renovations he's done, whether he's had any property problems letting it out. And I learned from that first experience, actually going straight to the owner, even with the agent there, is really valuable.
Because the agents will often just say a lot of rubbish, but the owner knows the property better than anyone.
Yeah, and this chap that I've bought it off, I think he's got about 14 properties, which are all HMOs.
So why was he selling then?
So he was selling to release his equity to move on to bigger projects.
Sure.
And that property's had a 5-year letting history without fail.
Now that was actually, I thought it was a really interesting interview. I know you know Des relatively well. We went out for a meal with him a few months ago. Tell us a bit more about what he's like as a person.
Des he's like this. He's just a really nice guy. He's a genuine, really nice guy. He's a doctor, so he's a very professional guy.
Yeah.
He's not one of these guys he's not like a bull in a china shop. He's very much a methodical, very strategic investor. From what I know, Des. Like I say, he's a very nice guy. I know he's got a couple of properties under his belt now.
Yeah.
I know from speaking to him in the past, for him, it's not really about cash flow for him. He's more interested in, he wants to leave a legacy for his family.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to have him on the show is because there might be a lot of people out there that can very much relate to him. In many ways, he goes against what we teach. Cash flow is king, ROI, blah, blah, blah. All he's trying to do is I mentioned it a few times, build a legacy.
Yeah.
And he wants to just own assets, really, because he knows.
I know a big thing, I've spoke to Des about this in the past, he didn't like mortgages. Because, especially interest-only mortgages, because he felt, from what when we've spoken past, he said that when it comes to the end of the term, you still don't actually own the property. You've got to then deal with that. And obviously, when his time comes and he's passing that on to his children, he wanted his whole portfolio to be unencumbered. So I believe he's sorted that out, which is good. He's gone for the whole repayment mortgages on his buy-to-let properties, which is sort of against what other investors do, but each to their own. Do you know what I mean? Property is a means to an end. It's a means to giving his family what they want, which is he wants to leave a legacy. He wants to leave sort of things for his children to inherit, so it's all cool.
I wish my dad wanted to leave a legacy and things to his children to inherit.
Did he?
I wish he did. It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's great that he's thinking that, because obviously not everybody can have parents that are sort of.
In a position.
I know everyone's parents try and do their best.
Joking. But do you think that if as a child point of view, which I'm sure you are,
I'm older than you, man.
Well, yeah, hence why you've been a child, though.
I've been a child.
You're still a child.
Okay,
you're still someone's child.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So, would you rather have a load of cash as a legacy, or houses as a legacy passed on to you?
That's a good question. I mean, cash you could have a lot of fun with, couldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, he's doing all this work to leave a legacy.
Yeah, no,
Could he not just go to him and quit?
I'm
knock yourself out.
I'm an accumulator. I like to accumulate assets. So I like assets. So cash, although it's good.
What?
Assets. Cash is good. Obviously, you want a little bit of money, but I would far rather have the assets which produce the cash in the long term. Assets which produce the cash in the long term.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, but I suppose maybe part of the reason he's doing it is so that they can't waste it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
If somebody suddenly gave you £1 million or £500,000, I mean, you're going to have a few good weekends, aren't you? I know I'd have a few good weekends, but
I'd have more than a few.
Yeah, well, but
I wouldn't actually. I'd just leave it in the bank and be boring and buy property with it.
Yeah, but my point being, if you get all this cash come along,
yeah.
How many times do you hear about this? That kids have inherited loads of money or inherited a business, and then before you know it, it's all gone.
I suppose the other thing is, I mean, I know Des was almost talking as if he was someone who was like, 60 or something. But he's not that old, is he?
I think he's mid-40s.
Yeah.
Mid to late 40s.
Sort of your age, really.
No.
And you're not thinking this way. But here's the other thing. I know Samuel talks about this a lot. 50 grand, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know how much Des has got, but let's say he's got $500,000.
Yeah.
Let's say he's loaded. $500,000 in the bank. How much would that be worth by the time he passes it on to his children in 30 years?
Well, considerably less, because obviously money shrinks and
exactly. Whereas if you buy houses now, it's going to be considerably more. So I suppose obviously from an investment point of view, it's definitely the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, there might be people watching this that are in a similar situation. I mean, Des works, what, 70 hours a week?
He runs a doctor's practice, so
I'm
we
sure
all
he's
know.
a pretty busy guy.
Doctors all work quite hard.
So, you know, it's a very smart thing to do. And it's not, I mean, we look at it very differently. We look at it as more of a building, you know, our job is we're in property.
Yeah,
whereas
yeah,
Des
of course.
is very much not.
Yeah,
Des's job is he's a doctor.
Yeah, his whole reason for getting into property is legacy. It's not for cash. It's not for immediate sort of gratification. It's
He's just got a lot of money he wants to be sensible with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I suppose probably more people can relate to that than relate to wanting to become a property investor. Because a lot of people, and we talk about getting out of the rat race, but a lot of people like their jobs.
Yeah, I believe he does.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing so.
Do you like your job?
What, talking to you? Not really, no.
No, but what I mean is...
Do anything to get out of it?
Like, what you do and what I do, I actually love what I do.
Training?
Yeah,
I love
my
training.
job. Yeah, I love it. I love seeing people change, and I love seeing people believe in themselves. But there's a lot of people. My wife's one of them, for instance. She hates her job, or she hated her job, and she now works for me. But she actually, let me just clarify that because I'm going to get lynched. She doesn't work for me. She works with me.
You know what? That is a clever way of finding out if she's listened to it.
Oh yeah, it is actually.
So just don't say anything now. And if she goes, "Hey, what about that working for you?"
Yeah. No, that's funny. Please don't tell her. No, I'm joking. She's cool. But my point being is there's a lot of people are stuck in jobs they don't like. They really are. So yeah, for them, becoming a property investor or investing is a way for them to get out of the rat race. But there's so many people who love their jobs.
Yeah. So for many people, Des's style would probably. I mean, there might be people listening to this that are thinking, "Yeah, I don't really want to be like a major property investor.
No.
But might be less money. I might be 50 grand, 100 grand. I just want to invest it wisely."
The thing is, you know,
I'm not bothered about cash flow because I've got cash flow from my job.
Yeah.
I just want my money to be not shrinking.
Yeah, and growing.
My money to be growing.
Property investing, though, it is a job.
Yeah,
It's a job, freaking job.
especially if you do something like rent to SA.
Yes, of course, it's a job. So you've got to really love it. Yeah.
What do you prefer, the sourcing or the investing yourself?
Investing.
Yeah.
Sourcing's cool. Sourcing's very good. But yeah, it's quite time consuming, and there's a lot of legalities you've got to go through, and you've got to a lot of
who likes dealing with the law?
yeah, there's a lot of one thing that I struggle with sourcing is a lot of people think just because they're buying from a sourcer that it's a guaranteed this, guaranteed that, guaranteed everything, and I have to sort of re-educate them a little bit that nothing in this world is guaranteed. It's an investment, like buying a bar of gold. The gold can go up, the gold can go down.
Yeah.
So
especially with like Brexit looming.
Yeah.
Right. So moving on from Des.
Well, yeah. Speaking about Brexit.
Moving on, talking about Brexit, we're going to be looking at the news this week. So it's time for this.
It's property investing news time.
So in the news this week, we've been looking at the autumn budget. So just to fill you in case you've been living under a rock, or in case you're like Alasdair and you just don't give a rat's ass about anything that's topical, Philip Hammond has put together his autumn budget.
Yeah.
This will be the last one before Brexit, obviously. So we've been looking at the positives and negatives, what it means to UK landlords.
Oh, cool.
So as I'm Mr. Positive, I'm going to be looking at the positives.
And as I'm Mr. Negative
And
Scottish, I'm going to be looking at the bad.
So, first off, the good. So let's start off with the good news. Now this is good not just for landlords but for everybody. So whoever you are, unless you're on the dole, this is good news. The personal allowance will increase to £12,500. So this means that basically you won't pay any tax on the first £12,500 that you earn. And what I thought was interesting, I was looking back at some of, how, cause I've noticed it's gone up a lot recently. And even just like 10 years ago, it was only £6,025.
So it's like
doubled in 10 years.
That's pretty much like house prices.
It pretty much is.
Doubles every 10 years.
Doubles every 10 years. So yeah, so I thought that was pretty good. Why don't you hit us with a bad news?
Okay. So not so good news. The lettings relief on capital gains was previously available if your current or previous main residence was let out, up to £40,000 per person or £80,000 per couple. With the new changes, this is only applicable in shared accommodation, so much less attractive for landlords, as you actually have to live with your tenants to receive this benefit. Now, who wants to live with their tenants?
Not I.
Not me.
Although I would say that one of the things I have noticed is that when they've been bringing in a lot of these new changes, that they're affecting amateur landlords.
Yeah.
So like, this is affecting people that have moved out of their house and are now renting it out.
Yeah, they're
You
not
know.
professionals. I wouldn't say so.
There might be a professional landlord, but they're attacking the amateur landlords like crazy at the moment, aren't they? So yeah, that's obviously not good. So more good news, just to lift the mood up a bit. Well, I said good news. It's good news for the higher earners amongst us, so people like Alasdair. The higher rate threshold is increasing from 46,350 to 50 grand. So before you have to pay higher rate tax, you can now earn more money. Boom.
Cool.
Boom.
That's very good.
So there you go. It's particularly useful for any landlords that have been affected by the the S24 changes.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
So some more bad news. Mr. Bad News himself. Hit us.
Okay, I'll bring it to you. So now, it's previously been that if you sold your personal home, there's normally no charge for capital gains tax as a private residence relief. When the relief was introduced, it was extended to cover a period of 12 months. From season occupying the actual sale to the actual sale. The extension period is currently 18 months, however the Chancellor has just slashed that to 9 months.
Okay, so you might lose out a bit on your taxes there.
Yeah.
Okay, bad news. But again, though,
let's not focus on the bad news.
It's more aimed at the amateur landlord.
Look, I think we need to stop worrying about bad news. I think we need to just look at the good news and everything. Be positive about stuff.
All right, so here you go. Good news. You ready for some good news?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, this is good news for SME property developers, so small, medium-sized enterprise businesses. Yeah. The government will make up to 1 billion with a B.
Okay.
Billion available to smaller house builders.
That's good.
Via specialist high street lenders. So basically you can go to the British Business Bank. They've got a new program called Enable. And they're making money available for people that are doing, building houses, stuff like that.
That all sounds great, but is that like one of these government incentives, like shared ownership? Is that going to be like that, where it sounds good on paper, but in practice, is it?
Maybe.
Is it
maybe?
as good?
I don't know, because obviously it's only just been announced, maybe.
If that works out, I think that's fantastic for small to medium enterprise businesses.
I mean, they've also...
fantastic.
They've also extended the Help to Buy scheme, haven't they, for another couple of years, which I think is pretty useless.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of anything the government offers you, to be honest. If the government are offering you something there's generally an ulterior motive. But as Samuel teaches, and as I generally believe, that the people that make the rules are in property. Yeah. And generally, if they've made the rule here, they've normally a rule over here that's been brought out to sort of help you circumnavigate it.
Well, mostly, I'd say mostly overall it's pretty good news.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, most of it's good, especially the first section, the personal allowance.
Oh yeah, that's good for everyone.
Good for everybody, 100%. 100%, and also that enable program, that's good.
That sounds pretty interesting, doesn't it? It sounds pretty interesting. But yeah, I suppose that would be what you just said. I agree with. I'd say that probably a good way to finish the podcast is the people who make the rules invest in property.
Yeah, and
still are. So with Brexit looming, with these new changes, property.
So what would be from this news article?
Yeah.
What would be top 3 tips then?
Top 3 tips.
Oh, okay, maybe not 3 because it's late, but 2.
Top 2 tips.
So if you said top 2 tips of somebody getting involved in property, what would you advise them to do after the latest budget?
After the budget, okay. Well, most of the good news, they don't have to do anything, do they? So it's like, you can earn 12.5 grand without. I think you're not going to go. Oh, okay. Well, I suppose you could up your wage 12.5 if you're an entrepreneur. You could up your wage. So that'd be my first tip, to 50 grand.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can.
I'll do tip number 2. I think tip number 2 is no matter what you're doing, property investing, you need to get sort of tax advice before you do it. So you need to speak to a tax lawyer, tax solicitor. or indeed a tax accountant, and get the correct advice before you take the plunge.
Yeah.
Because all these rules are in place, and you need to just make sure you're compliant and you're sticking to them
and
maximising them. Yeah.
Tip number 3: don't invest in property right now. Got Brexit coming.
Nah, screw Brexit. So, thanks very much for tuning in, guys. Keep watching out Friday, 4 PM every single week for the next episode.
You can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Audio Boom. Do not forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of the episodes. If you're watching on YouTube, hit us with a comment below. I'd love to know your thoughts on Brexit. And if you've got any questions for us, please do ask. And if you're listening to us on the podcast and you want to ask us a question and want us to talk about something, drop us an email. The email is podcast. Was it podcasts?
It's podcast, singular.
Podcast@samuelleeds.com. Thank you, Nick. See you next week.